Well folks, welcome to another Gary Goes. Well, actually this one's more like Gary Goes Nowhere, but don't worry, my name is still not Gary. What I thought I would do, because it's been a while since my last video, obviously it's the middle of winter, got a couple of exciting trips planned for the next couple of months, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I've got a week off work. It is fantastic weather, as you can perhaps see behind me. Amazing beach. I'm not on holiday anywhere. This is 10 minutes walk from my house. So yeah, I thought I'd show you a little bit of North Tyneside. Probably split it into a couple of videos. I'm out and about having a little wander around today, just around Tynemouth, probably down onto the Fish Quay, which is part of North Shields. And yeah, making the most of a decent day off. And then tomorrow we'll probably mooch around Newcastle and show you a bit of that. So that's the plan. Stay tuned. Got some lovely sights and sounds perhaps. Anyway, definitely some lovely sights in store for you. So yeah, here we go. Here is Tynemouth and North Shields. Enjoy. So yeah, we'll start off with the Master Mariners Homes, this fantastic building just on the outskirts of Tynemouth, or Tynemouth, if you pronounce it properly, not like me with my southern accent. And this was built as an asylum in 1840, according to my research, which is basically reading that blue plaque, as an asylum for elderly ex-mariners and their families, which is a bit odd, but there you go. And so this is the Tynemouth station, which was built as the main railway station for the town or village. Not sure which it actually qualifies as, but anyway. So yeah, this was part of the kind of the rail network that was built in the Victorian days from Newcastle, covering the whole of the Tyneside area, which then briefly closed and was reopened as part of the metro system, which I think in about 1980. So the metro is like a light rail, and it's an underground system around Newcastle and goes down as far south as Sunderland and as far north as Whitley Bay. And yeah, this is a fantastic station. They have a market here at the weekend with loads of street food and stuff. And as you can see, there's sort of outdoor inside seating with an Italian restaurant and a craft ale bar and just that amazing glass roof. So yeah, let's take a little walk through the centre of Tynemouth. Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual kind of town. Let's call it a town, because unlike sort of North Shields further up towards Newcastle or Whitley Bay even, it's kind of been developed as a day trip destination, or a kind of alternative evening out destination, probably because of its location on the coast. And as I mentioned before, it's on the metro network direct from Newcastle. So yeah, it's kind of developed as somewhere that people go out for day trips, go for a walk. Maybe they go out drinking as an alternative to drinking in the city, or go for a meal or whatever. So although it's kind of the size of a small town, I mean, we did just pass a Boots up there, but there isn't really much in the way of kind of chain shops or anything like that. There's a Co-op, there's a Boots, there's a post office, but other than that, it's really like this this central kind of road here. Front Street is mainly like quirky shops, as you can see there, bars and restaurants really. That's kind of what it consists of. So it's got an unusual feel as a place to live. As I say, North Shields further towards Newcastle is sort of your much more generic sort of shopping district with a Iceland and a B&M and a CEX and all that kind of stuff, where we don't really get that in Tynemouth. But it's interesting. So this is, I think it's called the House of Green Ginger, but obviously, as is fairly obvious, it's a converted church. Looks like they were just opening up. This is a Monday morning, by the way, which is why there's not that many people about. Well, there is, but kind of dog walkers and things, not people really out eating and drinking. Yeah, so it's quite quiet for Tynemouth. So yeah, just opening up. But this place is fantastic. As you can see, they've kind of renovated inside, and there's various little bars and quirky shops and things inside there, which is pretty nifty. So yeah, this is Front Street. So there's your Co-op. But other than that, there's this parking area kind of in the middle, and then both sides really just a string of, I don't know, I hate the word artisan, but let's use it here, artisan sort of coffee shops. I keep saying quirky as well, but quirky little gift shops and knick-knack places and things like that, and restaurants and bars. So you can see it is quite a popular place to go. I'm going to resist just pointing out various places as we go by, but that Toast is a kind of brunch place. The Head of Steam, that is a chain pub. Then this is quite quirky, this kind of little archway with a few little places down there, which is quite pretty. Not sure of kind of how that's been made or why. There's a little nod to, I was going to say Reservoir Dogs, but it's not, is it? It's the film that I can't remember right now. It's really going to annoy me. Pulp Fiction. It's obviously a Pulp Fiction reference. There we go. We have a Subway as well, which I do admit to sampling the occasional weekend morning. This is right at the end of Front Street, so you can see there the memorial, and then as you come around the corner, the Tynemouth Priory, which is half in ruins now, thanks to Henry VIII. Cheers, Henry. The dissolution of the monasteries, but it's been here for, since 500-600, I think, AD. There's 3 Northumbrian kings buried there, which is why the North Tyneside coat of arms has 3 crowns on it. A little bit of trivia for you. And then look at that stunning view. Amazing weather. Very few clouds in the sky. That's over towards South Shields. And then this is the other side here with King Edward's Bay. So we're lucky enough to have 3 separate beaches around Tynemouth. So this is the middle one. Arguably the most popular, for dog walkers and things it is. It's quite sheltered. But yeah, tide's out, but really, really lucky to have that beach. Absolutely stunning. And this is kind of halfway down the steps. Definitely busier than this in the middle of summer, even though it's the northeast of England, so it rarely gets sort of hot. But even when it's 20 degrees plus, you'll find loads of people. I mean, you find loads of people even in the middle of winter going for dips and things in the morning, so you can imagine the summer. And that's Riley's Fish Shack, which is somewhere that is on my list to try. It's supposed to be amazing fish restaurant. Well, I say restaurant, it's a shack, but very quirky and very cool. So this is the other main beach. This is Long Sands, and no prizes for guessing where the name came from. Looking across to Cullercoats, and in the foreground, that's the old outdoor swimming pool, which they are trying to renovate. Obviously, as you can see, it's not in the best condition. Not sure how much use it would get, but it would certainly look better than what's there at the moment. And that building that peaks up at the top there was built in the First World War, I think, as a gunnery control station for the guns that were on the Tyne piers. So a bit of history. I think it's been converted into a house now, which is pretty cool. But anyway, as you can see, that is an amazing beach. Quiet today, but yeah, in the weekend, particularly in the summer, just loads and loads of surfers and things. And this is the third of the 3 Tynemouth beaches. Definitely the quietest. Not even sure if this one has a name, but it's mainly used for the sailing club that the building's right there on the beach. This is coming sort of down the hill from the Priory, the other side, out towards the peninsula, and then back round to North Shields and the Fish Quay. And there's the North Pier there, which if you've seen the 70s Lightly Lads film, you'll see that Terry goes fishing, and that's where the fantastic scene about the chocolate box of life, blah, 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 which I'm not going to spoil, but definitely watch it. It's a fantastic slice of 70s Tyneside sort of history, as well as being funny. But anyway, that's enough of a plug. So yeah, oh, what a day this was. February, early first week of February. Really, really warm. Well, warm for February, but felt like April. Amazing skies, just really glad not to be in work. And yeah, thought I'd just show you a little bit of my local area. So hope you're enjoying the video. Plenty more to come. I'll be quiet for a minute and just show you some amazing views. So that's looking over to South Shields there with those beaches and that red lighthouse. Newcastle's about 10 miles there downriver. And then, yeah, you can see the tides out, all those exposed rocks. They're the Black Middens, which have been responsible for plenty of shipwrecks over the years. And then, yeah, that's the Collingwood Memorial, which looks a lot more impressive when you're up in front of it. He was the second in command at the Battle of Trafalgar and took over when Nelson died. And yeah, that kind of Soviet-looking building there, they're the Knots Flats, which were built in the 30s to rehouse people from the slums, mainly from North Shields, and had the first ever air raid shelter, apparently, or purpose-built air raid shelter. Anyway, now we're down into the Fish Quay itself. There's the Ship's Cat pub, which is built into some kind of old warehouse, which is a pretty cool place to have a drink. And then, yeah, so there's lots of kind of these, up this end anyway, some sort of abandoned buildings or buildings in need of or due for renovation there. There's looks like a factory that's had a fire in it, but then further on you can see that building there on the right has all been turned into flats. There's some flats being built further up on top of the hill, so really in the middle of a regeneration, or kind of towards the end of regeneration. I remember going to the Fish Quay, or probably in the 80s or early 90s. Again, there you can just see across to South Shields and then a couple of those buoys and things. Yeah, there's the Low Lights pub, which is apparently Sam Fender's favourite pub. They do amazing pies, proper local kind of pub, really famous around this area. Anyway, I was just saying, yeah, I remember visiting the Fish Quay when I lived here as a kid, because long story short, my dad's from up here. We lived in the northeast for a time for about 3 or 4 years when I was kind of 7 or 8 years old, something like that. I remember visiting here on the ferry, which you'll see in a bit, and there wasn't much. It was very industrial. There were a couple of fishmongers, a couple of chip shops, but definitely nothing like the Mexican restaurant we just passed. Loads of bars and things down here, so it's really gone through a massive regeneration. A bit like Tynemouth, but I don't think Tynemouth was ever quite the same as the Fish Quay. And the Fish Quay mainly is probably in the last 5 or 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, I've only been in this area, you know, this time I moved here less than a year ago, so I'm still finding out about things and finding my way around. But yeah, the Fish Quay seems to be a more recent kind of regeneration. But between here and Tynemouth, so many places to eat and drink, Obviously in the summer you've got all these outdoor seating areas. You know, there's probably 10, 12 different bars and things along this street. And then on the left-hand side, where you can see that brick wall, that's the fish quay or the fish market itself. So obviously that's how this area is built up all around the port, you know, the facilities, and I guess there would have been the taverns and things to support that industry. But you can, the good thing about it is it's still a working port. So there's still, you know, these chip shops and fish restaurants and fishmongers obviously get the local catch. You know, you can see some of that in there. That's a kind of fish mongers, but next to a chip shop as well, fish and chip shop. So yeah, it's kind of built up around that. But it's really good. A fantastic place to visit. Both Tynemouth and the Fish Quay are definite good places to go out for a drink and a meal. And yeah, the other interesting thing about North Shields is it was split into two. So because you've got those high banks, you have the low town and the high town. And if you look up the steps, there's plenty of these along the Fish Quay. Up to the top there would have been where the high town was, which is now kind of the main North Shields town centre. And then this is the low town, which you know, back in the day was slums and, you know, lots of dwellings for fishermen and things like that. But this kind of the low town is now the Fish Quay, and then the high town is the town centre. And they're kind of separated by those banks. But then, yeah, this is the working port, which is interesting to see on a weekday. Kind of approaching 12 o'clock here, so I guess most of the boats are on their way back. But yeah, I think this is maybe like the third or fourth busiest fishing port in the UK. I think after Peterhead and Brixham. Incidentally, another place I used to live, Brixham. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody let me know who's got more knowledge about that kind of stuff. But I seem to remember reading that, and I think it's mainly sort of crab and prawns and things from North Shields. But yeah, as I said before, really interesting that it's still a working port. You know, you've got that mixture between kind of the leisure and all the pubs and restaurants and stuff, but then also the fish market and the places that sell the freshly caught seafood. And then yeah, just look across there. That to the left was the Shields ferry, which you can get from South to North Shields, which is also part of the metro network, which is a nice little trip. And then yeah, some more pubs and bars and things. A couple of nice restaurants all the way down there. So that is the low light lighthouse. It wasn't that cold for the ice. That must be from where they've packed the seafood. But yeah, the low light, and then there was the high light, which you just saw a minute ago on top of the hill, back what was the old high town, which were the two lighthouses that kind of had to match up for the boats coming in and the ships coming down the Tyne, to match those two lights to know that they were on track to enter the river. I'm not sure if either of them work anymore, but and then that to the right is the old low light before the other one was built, which are kind of right next to the Fish Quay. There was also a barracks there. I think those buildings were kind of offices and things to support the fishing industry. And yeah, looking again right over to South Shields. And that red lighthouse is the Groin. And then that's where I've been. So you can just see the Collingwood Memorial, and again another view of the Notts Flats. Not the most attractive, but yeah, the history is quite interesting. Apparently people loved moving there from the slums. They all had plumbing and indoor toilets and things. So you can imagine how happy they were to move from the slums of North Shields. And then, yeah, obviously new apartments and things there on top, and that blue building on top there, that's a great little pub, the name of which escapes me now. How do you do? I think it's called How Do You Do. Anyway, it's really nice up there. You can kind of sit in the glass window at night and see all the traffic coming in and out of the river, which is quite quiet today, I just thought, when I'm taking these videos. And then, yeah, a couple of these fishmongers. This one's fantastic. I've yet to buy anything from here, so if you're any good at cooking langoustine or anything, give me some tips. I need to eat more fresh food, but yeah, some of this stuff is fantastic. Squid, king prawns. Do love a langoustine as well. Very popular, unless it's just people looking like me. So yeah, there's 2 or 3 of these fishmongers along the front here. Nice little painting. So yeah, that's basically it for my tour of my neighbourhood. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to kind of live halfway between Tynemouth seafront and the Fish Quay, kind of at the top of that hill up there. So yeah, both these places are fantastic walks and plenty of places to go out. So stay tuned for some more.